listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Yes, them very good friends of mine. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, email the show via, I'm happy with Latin, the Absolute Radio website. And so we settle. I've got a bit of a throat, I should tell you early on, so if I sound I sound hoarse.
Well, I know why you've got that throat.
Oh, yes.
Because we went out this week, Al.
Oh, my goodness.
To a bash.
Bit of gossip.
And I think Frank got a little bit overexcited. He was talking away all the time.
He does that anyway, doesn't he?
What can I do when people come over?
I mean, he does a lot of talking.
Well,
in a typical week.
I've never seen him talk like this.
The thing was, I was worried a bit about the throat before I got there, and then I pushed it to the limit.
Oh,
at the end of the night, I said, "Are we going now?" He sounded like an Ibiza club promoter.
There was some loud... Also, whenever I've got a sore throat, I have a massive urge to shout as loud as I can, because I know I can't, and I miss just the opportunity to do it. And shouting's always been... One of the things I miss most about drinking is shouting. Shouting in the street. You know, when you lie in bed at night, you hear people really shouting in the street.
They talk so loud, people, don't they?
I could hear some shouting whilst I was talking to some people as I was going to my car after a show the other night. And there was this repeated shout, like, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
And then this exact same time pause, rah, rah, rah. And then the exact same time pause, and I said to them, has Derby got like a nighttime town crier now or something?
You sure it was
very odd?
He weren't a hip-hop gig.
No, it was not. I don't think there's hip-hop in Derby. Maybe Northern Soul or something like that, isn't there?
Well,
I just don't want to talk about Derby. Can we talk about how we went to Michael McIntyre's party this
I wouldn't
week?
mind talking
about
about
it.
Can we just talk for a second about Terence Trent, Derby?
Oh, yeah. What's his name now? Santander.
Is it Santander?
Oh no, it's my mortgage company.
Yes.
I can't remember.
No, I can't remember.
He's changed his name now, hasn't he?
Write your name. Does it sign your name?
I don't know, but this isn't interesting radio.
Heart.
You just...
I want you to be my baby. Anyway.
Is it?
All right, Wayne's World, can we get on with the show?
I wonder if his new name has got two British place names in it, Trent and Derby. Is there a Trent?
He should just call himself Trent Derby now.
That's a good name.
Because that's like man of the people, isn't it?
But the mistake he meant is that Stoke-on-Trent, and then Stoke is the big rival of Derby in football terms. So he actually brought together two conflicting worlds, and that's never going to work.
I think he's called Villa Leicester now.
I see.
Or Leicester Villa.
Oh.
There must be a name. Well, we can work on it.
So, yes, so we went to a party. I'll tell you what was weird.
It wasn't any party.
From a show point of view, it's weird, because last week when you were in absentia...
Oh, yeah.
We talked about poor Kay Burley, Sky News presenter, who went to Chiltern Firehouse, this super cool place, which I was saying I'd never been to, and bought a bottle of wine for 130 quid and then had to drink at the table. So the party was at Chiltern Firehouse, so it's like I was doing late research on the show. And obviously I was a bit wary of the staff, because I thought, well, the way they treated poor Kay Burley.
Did you have a chance to pick their brains about said story?
I didn't, but I was on the front foot from when I arrived. Yeah.
Put it this way, it's the only place you go to where the staff are more expensively dressed than anyone else in there.
Wow.
Well, the women are dressed like 1960s sci-fi babes in these sort of sky blue
Sounds like
jumpsuits.
a great party for you to go to.
It was all right. But to be fair to them, I don't think my elderflower presse ever ran dry.
That is good.
Or every time I turned, there was somebody topping it up.
Well, that's because you established yourself at the beginning. We got there very early, weren't we, Frank? We were the first ones to arrive.
Well, literally
embarrassing.
first in.
Embarrassing. It really was. And they said, would you like a canapé? Frank never said no after that. I've never seen anyone. You went insane in the membrane.
I was the only bloke in a room of, like, circling canapes.
Brilliant.
I mean, one came, and they were all fantastic. They were all, like, in the top end. There was one, actually, I wasn't sure about, but most of them were
the bacon
great.
bread you loved, Frank.
Oh, bacon bread.
You're shoveling that down.
Text you like wine. Yeah, it was, that was lovely. Absolutely lovely. I can still taste them now.
You had enough.
I probably should have brushed my teeth.
Your teeth look nice and white at the party. I felt you fitted in more than you would have prior to the procedure.
Do you remember, do they still have, I haven't been to a discotheque or similar for a long time, do they still have those lights that show your lint up in your teeth? You know, those sort of,
yeah. I think they might
those?
have those in some establishments, yeah.
And here's another, do they still have question?
You do ask this a lot.
I do, because I'm out of touch, but am I right in saying Chiltern Firehouse was actually a fire station?
Yes, it was originally.
Do they still have poles in fire stations? I mean, your modern fire
I
stations.
believe they do, yeah.
Well, let's get some nice firemen to text in.
Do you remember when I asked once if they still had those blankets that they held that people could leap out
the
of
trampolines.
out of a burning building
Trampoliny
to?
ones.
And some guy said we never had those. That's an American phenomenon. And he got quite stroppy with me, which you don't want from a fireman.
Yeah.
No.
It was.
It's not like a fireman to throw cold water on. A bit of fun, is it?
Exactly. They probably don't have ladders. We'll find that they've got jetpacks. Do you remember that man offered me a jetpack ride?
What man?
I talked on here about how I've always been obsessed with jetpacks since Roger Moore had one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Was it Roger Moore or was it Sean Connery?
I think that was Roger Moore. Oh, Sean Connery's too old.
I don't know. I've lost confidence.
No, it was
in
more.
Someone will let us know. And I've always wanted to have a go. And then a bloke wrote to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a peeping Tom potential that lured me in.
Yeah.
But a bloke wrote to me and said, well, I do them, come and have a go. But I didn't have the bottle.
No.
Didn't it? Wasn't it? It was a water-based jetpack, like a thing.
I'm more frightened of landing on water than concrete.
I don't think your management would have let you go on the jetpack. They wouldn't let you and David Baddiel go in the hot air balloon at the height of your fame.
Well, I'll give you one phrase.
What?
Key man insurance.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So this news just in. Morning, Frank. This is from 854. Morning, Frank and the team. It was Sean Connery with the jetpack.
Yeah, I thank you. You see, I faltered. I had a sudden Connery flash go
At the start of Thunderball, it lasts about 20 seconds of flight time. That's Jason from London.
And he strikes like thunderball. Okay, here we go.
And
all of the percussion was provided by Frank Skinner there. It wasn't that he's got...
Fingers and thumbs. Here we go, the William Tell Overture. Radio.
Are you going on Britain's Got Talent or something? They did have all the judges there at this party the other night. Yeah. It was like being at judges' houses.
Who else was in attendance?
Well, there was a lot of...
Who was that blonde woman that was there?
That was Amanda Holden.
Is she in witness protection?
It was Amanda Holden.
I never recognised her.
Yeah, it was her.
Something's different about her. What is it?
Don't make me go there.
Okay.
We had a lovely time. The most exciting thing was that there was a performance.
There was a performance?
I
Someone
didn't
did a
know.
gig?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't know it was going to happen, and I was very excited.
Did you not know?
No.
See, I'd been told. It slightly spoilt it. Well, it didn't spoil it. It was still very exciting.
That's like when your manager turned around to us at one of and says, "Oh, you haven't won."
I know.
when we used to be up for
Pity
awards.
when that happened. Yes. Go on.
It was Boy George.
Oh, wow.
Yes, all in his finery as well. You know, he was dressed like he was doing Boy George on Stars in Their Eyes because it was. He
had a hat, big green hat.
He had. Guess what? He had a big colourful hat on.
No way.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah,
No.
But there was a little fire crackling, and it felt like he was in our front room.
Because he wasn't on a stage. He was just like standing.
Oh, really?
Passing the mic round.
Same level.
Alan Carr wouldn't get off that mic.
Yeah. Who was that Mike? I'd never met him. Yeah, it was, there was something, it was like being at a party and Boy George was singing.
That's nice. That
What
is
about
it
when
was
he
like.
sung I'm a Man Without Conviction and Jimmy Cole said, I don't think that's true?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at least he took the rap.
Yeah.
No, it was exciting seeing Boy George at the same floor level.
Yeah.
as you singing.
Yeah.
Just a guitar and piano.
It was great. And
He did Imagine, that's my only thing. Which is,
why didn't you like that he did Imagine?
Well, Imagine is arguably the worst song ever written, in my opinion. I've always hated it. I hated it by
People
John
are
Lennon.
emailing in.
Well, no, we're all different. Music is a subjective thing. There'll be songs I love, many songs I love that you'll hate. I'll probably play you some today.
People do email about that occasionally, so yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah, people generally hate my selections.
Not, I wouldn't say generally, but on occasion.
And I like to think I have a broad musical taste, but I imagine there's always a song that's just got a bit of a... It's got that sort of, all right.
Yes.
Yeah, I imagine it's like... I tell you what I always imagine it's like, is that I'm knocking a stake into Dracula's chest. And as I walk away, I realise I've knocked it through the hem of my own overcoat. So as I walk away, it's like he's pulling me back. And that's how I feel when I listen to Imagine.
Well, I enjoyed it.
No, well, I'm not saying he... You know,
He sung all the great ones, Al.
Did he?
Church of the Poison Mind.
Good.
No, I was just making a comment on your morality.
dear.
He did...
Do you really want to hurt Al? Yeah,
he did Victims.
It was fabulous.
Yeah, we liked it.
And also, I like going to party clubs with Emily, because I sort of feel that she'll look after me there. I don't feel out of my... It's like... Emily fits in anywhere, and that's always good. She's like a European plug adapter. You know those things you get?
Yeah.
So but I can be at a place like that where I do get a little bit intimidated.
Yeah.
And I know Emily will soon hit up a friendship with one of the staff, and we'll be going out the secret anti-paparazzi door and all sorts.
I took us out the anti-pap door,
Yeah, there's only about 20 of them out there.
By the anti-pap, though.
We weren't trying to avoid the paparazzi, can I say?
I was thrilled when I saw them.
That's what my Uber bloke, he said that's where he was. So.
Well, I had a conversation with your Uber bloke about you after we dropped you off.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
What did he say?
He was very excited.
Was he? He didn't let on that he even knew what
Well,
it
that's
was.
what he said. He said, that's Frank Skinner. I said, yes, I know, yeah. He said, I'm a big fan of his.
Oh,
Well, that's good, isn't it?
He said, I know everything he's done. I tell you what. Oh, no. Then he started telling me everything you did.
Thank God I gave him 5 stars.
He said, he does that show, Have I Got a Little Bit More News for You?
Well, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
His big one at the moment
It's the Graham Norton show.
is Room 101. That's the big one.
You got that right. It's
Yeah.
lovely. When will Boy George ever become Man George? Will that happen?
That's not going to happen.
No.
I wish that would. Wouldn't that be a great sort of reboot? Reinvention if he came as Man George.
No, it would be an admission that he's getting old inside, wouldn't he? Don't want to...
Oh, I tell you what, Al.
Wants to be young forever.
I tell you what we need to discuss. Frank's cath. Well, I was a bit embarrassed.
Frank's
because-
cash.
No, Frank's
Let's
cath.
not discuss. We've only got
She
3
embarrassed
hours.
me
Not every week.
in front of Rob Brydon a bit.
Oh, okay.
Because Kathy has decided she suddenly likes Gavin and Stacey.
It was a classic late review. She actually went up to Rob Brydon and said, "Can I just say I love Gavin and Stacey?" She started watching it this week.
I said, late review. He said, I'll take what I can get, love.
Exactly. I've heard that.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What about Rob Brydon's 16-point font?
I know that was...
He has what?
he has a very big font on his texts.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean,
I've never seen anything like it.
He had a message that says something like car outside. He had to scroll down 3 times to read
Yeah.
it. The letters were so big.
Yeah.
And then he mocked me for having... Oh, dear. That was actually Al's spine, that sound.
It's all right now. It's just a bit of chiropractic work that I get done during the show.
That was Alan's armrest.
I should really do it during long songs, but... Oh, the release.
Life's a long song. But the tuning's too soon for a song.
You're doing a lot of singing this morning,
Sure.
darling,
It's
aren't
because
you?
I shouldn't be, I think, because...
Don't think life is a long song. That what is it?
Are you
The
arguing
tune
with
ends
Jethro
to-
Tull?
Yeah. I am a bit.
Okay, well, I don't think you should do that.
Well, I have.
I quite liked his font, though. I mean, we were laughing at him, and he then said, well, you should adopt this, Frank. He was suggesting we were struggling to see our text messages.
Is he short of sight? Is that what this is all about? Is he doing?
No,
it
he's
'cause
old,
he
love,
can't-
like the rest of us.
He's not that old, is he?
He's not as old as me, I don't think.
No.
Who is?
No.
8, 12, 15. That's all right. By the time the people older than me have texted in, the show will be over.
What they did, though, they took our gifts off us when we arrived. Now, because that's the classy thing to do, isn't it?
And then put them away.
Yes.
You're not
So
meant
you
to
don't-
open presents on the night. It's a bit déclassé. You're meant to give the gifts and then the host opens
They must
them.
have been brilliant after the party was over when they took all those presents out.
Upstairs with all that wrapping paper. But I don't like it because I like to see the reaction. And what if my gift has got confused with Boy George's? That's going to end in tears.
He probably didn't. Do you think he got one? Do you think he?
You think he brought one? No.
Yeah, I don't think he would have brought one.
Definitely not. He'd have just said, keep that out the fee.
Take out like £1.98 for a card.
Yeah, I don't like to be there when people open presents, personally.
Why?
Because, you know, when you buy someone a present, you've maybe got a 1 in 5 chance of getting it right. And I don't want... I get tense for people when they have to act for me to look like they're really pleased. Mind you, when you get that 1 in 5, when you get someone one they really want, that's great. It's a great feeling. Because you know what? I've always thought this is better to give than to receive. What do you think?
I don't agree. Sananda Maratreya.
Bless you.
Was that your holidays booked?
No,
is
that's
that-
Terence Trent
that's
D'Arby's
Terence
real
Trent
name.
D'Arby. Well,
Yeah.
sign my... When he signs his name across my heart needs to be quite fully expanded.
Yeah.
Unless he writes in a sob Bryden font.
Well, the thing is, he used to do that, signing people's names on bits of rice, so he can do it. Did
he do that?
Yeah,
That's
he's
one of
got the
his
skills.
things.
Yeah, he worked on like several holiday resorts, and now he just does it on hearts. It's easier, loads easier, he says.
What about those places you go to and you sort of stamp a coin? You ever seen that? There's like
No,
a
I've not
coin
seen it.
stamping machine.
Oh, that sounds good.
You can
You
get-
can make your own money. That sounds great. Where is this place?
I remember you could do it at the Empire State Building. Do you know the thing I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You sort of pull an arm down and,
Yes.
and it sort of stamps a coin. I can't quite... Maybe someone can explain it, one of our lists. I can't remember what the angle is on it now. But you can get your own unique coin,
Oh, okay.
I think.
Is this how Bitcoin started?
Shut up about it. Going on about it. Listen to this.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
Got some fire station news in for you, Frank.
Excellent.
Frank, I work as a fireman. Not me, I'm reading a text.
No, I knew that.
Frank, I work as a fireman at Chichester Fire Station, and yes, we still use a pole when we get fire calls. ... I believe most of the bigger stations still have poles. Hope that answered your question. Thanks, Rob in Chichester.
Thank you. How do they clean the pole? Do they put a bit of metal polish on a rag and then slide down with that?
Oh, I don't know.
Because if it gets... Once it starts picking up the sweat from your hands and stuff, it's not going to be so slidey.
Maybe it counterbalances by the fact that sometimes the alarm goes whilst they're eating a burger, so they've got slippy hands anyway. And then if, like,
What
12
about when
of
I
them
got a
go
lift
down,
from those firemen in the fire engine?
Fireman's lift.
No, they gave me a lift. I
Yeah.
told you that story. Not that sort of a
Yeah.
lift. They let me go in the fire engine.
that is
And
cool.
then they said, can we have your number? And I said, no, I'm sorry. And he said, oh, well, you know ours, love. Which I thought was a rather good line.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I mean, it would be a problem, though, if people started using that number for dating.
I know, yeah.
It's quite a high-risk strategy that they're going with there, but hey, who am I to tell them what
Yeah.
to do with
Hello,
their-
999. Hello, I met these 3 firemen.
Lovely. Lovely guys they were.
I went to... sorry, is there more from the outside world?
There is actually, yeah. People said that you were behind the times, but
Yeah.
apparently the
It was actually the Independent.
Apparently the firemen in Dubai are using jetpacks to get to the top floors of skyscrapers.
Are they?
That's what I've heard.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
That's
Frank.
the first thing I've ever heard about Dubai that made me think I wanted to go there.
Me too, and I've been.
Yeah. I've never been.
Does it not appeal?
Peter Ebdon lived there.
Yes, I think so.
That's the one other thing.
You'd like to go and spend time with Peter Ebdon?
I think it was Peter Ebdon I had interviewed once, favourite food steak, and they said, who's your best friend in snooker? And he said, I've got a wife and kids, I don't need friends.
Mm.
I thought, that's interesting. Imagine that. Congratulations, Mr. Ebdon, you've got a lovely daughter. Oh, fantastic, I don't need friends anymore. That's going to make life a lot easier.
Hang on, I'm just going to the phone, delete all.
Yeah? Hold on, have you got a bin I can put this address book in? I mean,
I love the idea of not needing friends.
Doesn't it?
That's it. Once you're growing your own friends, it's a bit like it's like the Good Life with Peter Ebdon. They just grow his own friends at home.
Oh, his own friend,
I
yeah.
like the fact we're now doing jokes about a quote from Peter Ebdon from perhaps 8 years ago or something. Late review.
Behind the times.
Well, I like all things Ebdonian. I think he lives in Dubai, though, which is...
Oh, they all
I
live in
think he
Dubai.
does.
Now, didn't Jim Davidson live in Dubai?
I think he did for a bit.
What about if he had a shot and even the long rest was a bit of a stretch and he got the old jetpack on, hovering over the snooker table at the Dubai Open?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I never thought I'd say this on a commercial breakfast radio show, but we have some news in about Ebdon.
Peter?
Yeah, we were talking about Peter Ebdon, weren't we? And Dave Clark, I don't know if this is true.
Not Dave Clark of the Dave Clark 5.
No.
No, it's that's the new name for Terence Trent D'Arby, is Dave Clark. It's just gone really normal.
Oh, okay.
Says the Ebdon marriage ended, sadly.
Oh.
And he moved back to the UK. He remarried, so still no need for friends,
Oh,
though.
thank goodness for that. There must have been a period there where he found a few mates up. Do you think?
There might well have been. We've also had
I'm
news
sad,
in...
sad to hear that. Don't get us wrong. I'm sad to hear that the original marriage ended.
Yeah.
But, so is he still in Dubai? That's the next...
No, I think he's back in the UK.
Is he living with Terence Trent Dubai?
Well, he claims he's moved to...
Sorry, his claims what?
Well, he's claimed he's moved to Hungary, but I'm sure that can't be right.
Is that some sort of joke?
There'll be some joke, yeah.
No, I think that could be true. I'd believe anything of Hebdo.
Hungary is that? Wow, he really is trying to avoid his friends. Okay.
We've also had news from Ian Angle, regular texter, and an often punner. And I think this may be the first text that he's ever sent that has no joke in it.
Be careful, there might be one you haven't spotted yet.
I've looked, and I've got a mind that sometimes looks at jokes. Yes, they're in America, he says. Basically, you put in a real coin.
We're talking about what we're talking about. I was on about coins.
It'll become revealed. Yeah, you put in a real coin. It then gets distorted into a totally new coin, which you then cannot spend. That's from Ian Angel.
Doesn't sound like a great angle, does it?
There's no joke.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah. I mean,
someone said, "I've got a great idea. What about a machine that turns coins that you can spend into coins you can't spend?"
Yeah.
I'll buy it. I'll have 10,000 of them in my outlets across the US. It really hurt my throat.
I like this new character.
It hurt my throat, but I think it was worth it.
Yeah, maybe bring it back next week when you're
yeah, exactly.
fully...
I had a picture of him. In my mind, he had one of those, those sort of sunshades, those black sunshades.
Oh, yeah, well, the visors on the glasses, yeah.
A bit like... is it like... Do the dogs wear them in the dog snooker or the dog pool?
Well, let's ask Peter Ebdon.
Yeah. I'm not sure they do or they don't. You know the dog pool picture?
Yeah. I'm not sure if Peter Ebdon
pool
will be looking at the dog pool picture a lot. I wonder if being a proper snooker player, he thinks that's like...
slightly derogatory.
Like a novelty version
Well,
of the game.
he married a Hungarian, is what happened.
Oh, did he marry a Hungarian?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Well, that changes everything.
Does it? How?
Oh, no, sorry, it's love that changes everything.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
And as regards your sore throat, Ollie from Salford has texted, salt water or peppermint is good for a sore throat, Frank. I'm no doctor, but it works for me. I like the caveats.
Yeah?
I'm no doctor.
I wonder what he is.
Can I ask a question? What is peppermint?
It's a...
What do you mean?
It's a plant, isn't it?
Is it a plant?
It's called peppermint. Are you thinking it's mint with pepper on
I
it?
thought it was mint.
No,
Yeah.
one buys peppermint flavoured things, but
Yeah.
at core, is it a sort of herb thing?
I believe so, yeah.
I thought
think
it was
I've ever-
mint, extract of mint, maybe.
I've never
I
seen
don't know,
it.
but
with
my,
a little dash
my
of
horses
pepper.
love it.
They
Do
love
they?
peppermint.
Aren't many of them called peppermint horses?
Not at my stables.
No, okay.
And do you feed it them off the palm of your hand?
Yes, I do.
With the thumb?
Yes.
Keep the thumb low, for God's sake. They'll take a thumb.
Will they take a thumb?
They'll take a thumb and not think anything of it.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and they'll bite one off.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
So
that's
where did you go this week then? You said you went somewhere else.
Yes, I went to Sunset Boulevard, the musical.
Oh.
You familiar with that?
Of course I am.
It's the story of Norma Desmond, who is a sort of she has been a big star.
Silent movie star.
Yeah, but she now lives in an enormous home, dwelling on former glories.
No.
It was a bit... people kept looking at me. It's a little bit awkward, but I got through it. And for me, it was a mix of fact and fantasy,
Yeah.
which is very apt, because I sat between fact and fantasy. On one side of me was newsreader Martin Lewis, and on the other was Arlene Phillips.
Oh.
I mean, how lovely to have one of those, at my right and left hand,
Yeah.
so to speak.
And it was Glenn Close. Was she...
It was very Glenn Close that night. They had to open a window. It was Glenn Close, yeah. It's a fabulously melodramatic... Yeah, she was in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I got worried about that because they call it semi-staged, and I have an issue with semi-staged.
What
Do you?
does semi-staged mean? I've never heard such
Semi-staged
a term.
means the set's a bit expensive, loves.
Yeah, there
Really?
was no set to speak of.
No.
So it was basically the orchestra and they acted in front. I thought it worked beautifully. The Guardian.
Oh, so you do
Okay.
your own, it's like radio plays, you imagine your own scenery kind of thing. Is that,
Yeah,
is that
but
the vibe
I'm
they
fine
bring?
with that. I can
Yeah, yeah.
imagine.
You hate imagine, but you can imagine.
Yes,
That's
it's
the
weird.
irony
It's
of you,
a
isn't it?
strange contradiction in my personality. But do you know, I don't want friends because I now have my own family. So,
Pressure on that family, though. God.
Can you
God, you've
imagine?
gotta
And what
keep
happens
moving.
if they fall out? He's friendless again.
And what happens when they're like 6 and he's like, I fancy going to the pub for some beers and crisps, and they're like, oh, not again, Dad. Can't you go with your friends? Nope, I've ditched them all for you guys.
You're my friends.
Yeah.
I don't
In
know
a
if
very
he does-
intense way.
Gig.
How's he doing in the world? Is he doing well in snooker now? Does he win?
Look at me as if I'm meant to know about Peter
Well,
Edson.
he's
You brought
married
him up.
to
You live in
Nora.
Manchester.
He's married to Nora the Hungarian.
Nora the Hungarian now.
Yeah.
Every time you mention it, we get a bit more information.
Glad she stopped exploring.
Nora
Now
the
she's
Hungarian
settled
sounds like
in
someone
Hungary.
in WWF wrestling.
I think he had
In the
some...
blue corner, Nora the Hungarian. Nora.
Do you think he ever calls her our Nora?
I hope so.
I do too.
So it was... And I'll tell you what happened. I met John Sargent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how's he?
Very nice, actually.
He could have been in fact, couldn't he? If you're having fact and fiction on one side and the other.
Yeah,
Fact
yeah.
and fantasy, rather.
But we started talking about Donald Trump, and I did, that Donald Trump joke I did the other week about if he was president and Boris was prime minister, we'd start seeing Kim Jong-un as a safe pair of hands.
Yes.
I did that joke,
Oh, yeah.
showing off,
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Well, that's all right. You get excited. When you've got a good joke, you get so
know.
excited, Frank.
his wife said to me, I'll use that.
She
She
never.
didn't.
She did.
I'm having that.
And I said, I hope you'll credit me. She said, no, I won't. I'll say it
What,
tomorrow.
right to your face? She
Yeah.
said, no, I won't.
And John very professionally said, no, she will credit you. It's a very awkward.
The Sargent incident.
Debating with Omar Sargent whether she gave me a credit or not.
Do you know what? She's no Nora Ebden.
Well, they were going to say they were very nice, but obviously that was like a knife in my heart.
You're You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 8 12 15. I mean, please. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, if that's all right with you. And email the show via the Absolute Radio website, if you ever mind to. As they say in the Black Country.
People have had a mind too.
Oh, lovely.
You were talking about John Sargent's wife, Mrs. Sargent, before the...
Can I say she was very nice, apart from claiming my gag?
Yeah, she said I'm having that, which is a thing that plagues you, isn't it?
It is.
That is Frank's worst thing.
And we've had a text in from 765. Lil has said, Mrs. Sargent was my French and Latin teacher at school. She always had fabulous jokes. Now I know why. Oh. She's got form.
She's got form.
Yeah, fabulous jokes. Like, take my wife, please.
Girlfriend's a repeat offender.
Marvellous. Good that she did French and Latin, though. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Obviously a very bright woman.
I think if she's doing my my Kim Jong-un joke in Latin, I think I excuse her.
That's the thing with you, there's always a caveat, isn't there?
Well, no, it's actually, this is just a loose scarf I'm wearing for my throat.
It's got a sore throat.
Looks like a caveat from where you're sitting.
I think caveat is Latin. I was just trying to throw a bit in.
No, it's very good.
Sound clever.
Did you do Latin?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
Oh. Awkward. Shall we talk about something from the news, like what we do at the top of the hour on a regular basis?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I've got something I want to talk about, actually. will.i.am.
Yeah,
because I'm rather fond of him.
Yeah, he is.
Well, no, I like him because he seems quite a gentle soul.
First rapper I ever saw in a cardigan.
Well, they always go on about cars and how much money that is, swilling around. But I like him because he's a bit more kind of Disney. He's quite cute, isn't he?
I think
he is cute. He's got a lovely little face,
friendly.
He's not aggressive.
He's not.
And do you know, and I didn't know this till quite recently, he's got a brother, get this, who lives in Yorkshire.
No.
Yeah. Amazing.
He hasn't.
He's called Will.i.am. I made that up. But if you're listening, Mrs. Sargent, no, you can't.
I think you're safe on that one, Frank.
No, maybe.
Well, I liked it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, there's local material.
It could be, yeah.
You having it?
No.
So he lives in the future, will.i.am.
What?
He literally, his house is called the Future.
Isn't it his office block?
His office block, I'm sorry. I'm calling it his HQ.
Yeah.
Not his HQ.
See, that's complicated.
Not his HQ.
It's his HQ.
HQ.
That's complicated, isn't it? If he
lives
in
Facebook.
If he lives in the future, and his name is present tense.
Oh,
it should be will.i.be.
He's all at sixes and sevens, isn't he?
Oh, will.i.
So someone went to interview him. The reason he was in the news is that someone from the Telegraph went to interview him, and as they arrived, they were handed a list of stipulations of caveats, Frank.
3 pages. 3 pages of A4, wasn't it?
Caveats.
Saying how to go about your
honestly,
interview.
I couldn't eat another thing.
You're still full from Chiltern
at least
Firehouse.
once the other night. I've never seen anything like it.
Right.
They couldn't believe it, the people.
Well, yeah, I don't go to many posh parties anymore, so I have
but Frank, when the chicken came round 4 times, you had that?
That was particularly nice, the chicken.
Sounds good.
You were the only person eating. So, yeah... They got this sheet of paper with these caveats, and some of them are quite extraordinary. It's essentially a how-to for interviewing will.i.am. Mm-hmm. So, Alan, perhaps you could share some of the instructions.
Well, I like start off with 1 to 2 warm-up questions and then get to the heart of what you really want to ask. I mean, I think that's how conversations go often, isn't it?
I like to go straight in.
Do you?
What about when I did that Guardian interview and the first question was, why do you hate women?
Wow.
It's quite...
Yeah.
I said, how long you got? I didn't. Can I say I did not say that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe she just couldn't decide what one or two warm-up questions to go with. Like, how do you lead up to that?
That was one of the warm-up questions.
Oh, really?
It got quite intense.
Are you sure that was her and not Kath?
I think, yeah, maybe that was Kath looking back. No, I think that's a different method, is the sort of hand grenade at the beginning to sort of,
well, those are the two styles, aren't they? Yeah. You either... I would rather save it all up to the end.
I think if you started with a will.i.am and said, why do you hate women, you'd be out of there.
I don't think you should go...
You'd be out of the future.
I don't think you would. The future would be a no-go area. They'd kill you, in other words.
Yeah.
Well, it says... They do say at the top of this list of questions, the future is for you alone. That's all gone a bit Peter Ebdon.
So, hold on, are they now referring to him as the future?
No, they're saying while you're in this environment... So the environment is the future. The future is for you alone, which means you can't bring friends or relatives.
That's fair enough, isn't it?
Who's going to turn up with friends and relatives to an interview? I've got my Night Von Trapp family outside. No journalist will do that.
What if Peter Ebdon's interviewing him? Who's he going to bring?
He would be ideal.
Nora. Just Nora. I brought Nora.
Oh, Nora.
It'd be all right. I don't know where he's from, but you can imagine.
Leicester, I think. That's the other
he's from Islington.
Is he?
Do you like that I have all these facts suddenly about him?
Ebdon's from Islington. Yes. I never knew that. Wow. Do you think when he phones the doctor, will.i.am, he just says, ill.i.am?
Mrs. Sargent, hands off.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So we're in the future with will.i.am.
That's capital T, capital F, by the way, for anybody confused.
It's not PH.
We're not in the future.
Yes.
I mean, it's the future.
I think it's capital W, capital T, capital F. Anyway...
I like it when Frank gets down with the old young people's lingo. You've got a bit urban dictionary, Frank.
Something, yeah, I've got it right here. I tell you what, something else I imagine about will.i.am, I bet he smells lovely.
Do you reckon?
Oh.
Why do you think that,
Just
then?
look at him, I can smell sort of lemongrass. You know, that sort of fresh, very fresh. You know when the Body Shop first come out and everyone was talking about how nice it smelt in there? Everyone was sort of... You could walk past the shop and think, oh, lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
I imagine he's not that sick, not that cloying thing.
Not lush soap smell, which is a bit... I don't want bacon and egg in a soap.
I bet he smells great. He's got that look about him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, nevertheless, he can be a bit tricky, it seems. Although it's not him, it turns out. It's his sort of PR people, isn't it?
Often the way.
Mm-hmm.
He claims to know nothing about this, but Al, shall we continue with some of the stipulations?
Oh, yeah, go on, fire us another one. What's your favourite?
You can't... It said, personal background. Please don't... It's like, he doesn't need to know about you, essentially. He do not feel you need to fill him in with any of your personal information.
I think that's fair enough, isn't it? I can't really think of being interviewed when anyone's told me much about their life.
Well, that's because I haven't interviewed you. So all I talk about is myself.
He also doesn't like being called a rapper, which you called him earlier. I don't think he approves of that. I think he's got some other phrase for it. I can't remember what it was.
What does he call it?
I can't remember.
Talking with gusto?
Yeah. That's what
he also said, which I found extraordinary, say hello, sit down and get started.
Good rules for life, though, and some people need reminded of them.
You can't tell people to say hello. They're not imbeciles.
No.
Well, they know to say hello.
You know what that might be? He might just be really fed up of people walking into the future, standing up and going, "What's up?" And he might go, "Say hello, sit down and get started." And he's just fed up of articulating it.
You can't walk into the future.
Well, he did a song called...
To walk into my house, which is known as the past. What if I call my house the past?
That was his song.
There you go. See,
what was his song called?
He did Let's Get It Started. You won't know any of these Black Eyed Peas ones.
I don't think of him as a man with songs.
He had some lovely songs.
Yeah, he's got melody in there.
He had, what were they called, Daisy? Shut Up, I believe one was called. Shut Up. What was it called, Daisy?
I bet
My Humps.
I bet he has an excess of feats. on his songs. I bet they
He's
always
just got
feed.
2 feet.
I bet they always feed someone.
Oh, right. I see.
I think he had a feat Britney Spears, didn't he?
Might have.
Didn't he have a feat? Did he have a feat Britney Spears, Daisy? Even Daisy doesn't know. Our urban correspondent. I'm sure he had a feat Britney Spears. I remember the video.
Extra for that.
For what?
Have you been the urban correspondent?
I know. Don't start negotiations this early. Yes. I remember the statistic now. I think he's been a feat on sort of 36 or something like that.
will.i.am.
Songs.
Oh, wow.
And then will.i.am's had about 40 people feating on him.
I'll tell you my favourite thing about will.i.am. He loves a cropped military jacket.
Yep.
He does like
He
that.
does. It's a bolero military I'm going, Frank. It's like a quality street soldier, as you often point
Is
out.
that Jacksonian, though? Is that the Jacksonian influence?
Oh,
It's a bit more playful than that, I think.
Well, he's playful. His whole nature is playful.
And the hats. Let's not even get started on the hats.
I don't think of him in a hat, you see.
Tiny teeth, though, hasn't he? I wonder if he likes adult-sized teeth.
Has he got tiny teeth like the Queen Marjorie?
They're tiny.
The Queen Marjorie had those tiny wooden teeth that she
Have a
had.
look at
They
him
weren't
next time
actually
he's on the
wooden, in
telly.
fairness.
They were actually
Very
wooden.
small.
Weren't
They were
wooden.
when she was young, that was how they replaced teeth. I mean, they were oak, royal oak. But even so, yeah, she managed with them for years. Of course, the reason she lived so long, the amount of people that said this to me, the reason she lived so long, she grew up in all them drafty castles.
Is that right?
Toughened you up.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. We had ice on the inside of the windows, that's all I'm saying.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Listen to this gossip, Frank.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I say gossip, it's not really 3am, but my friend Connie Huck, who
Oh,
you
yeah.
may be familiar with, she said Mrs. Sargent was her form teacher.
Wow.
Omar Sargent's getting everywhere.
I think we
When
can
you-
chart her life through the course of this show. We know that she taught Latin and French.
Yeah.
And when we said
She's a joke magpie.
that she's a joke thief and she's got
I
form,
never said thief.
You did?
We said she's got form, and now it turns
And
out
now
she was
you've
a form
realised-
teacher.
No, you did call her a
yeah.
joke thief, and now you've realised she's quite well connected.
Did I call
You're
her a joke?
retracting
Yeah, I didn't
your
know.
earlier
I
statement.
Didn't know about the hot connection. Changes everything. Oi, oi, oi.
So this
So
will.i.am thing, his people gave out 3 pages of like how to interview will.i.am instruction, and I'll be honest, I don't think it worked, because in the actual article, at one point the journalist writes he's 41 years old,
Yeah.
and in the box it says will.i.am's 40 and he's got these business. So it's not worked. It's not
It didn't work
created
at all.
good journalism.
There's no record of them saying hello
No.
in the interview. Sounds like they've just gone straight into it.
Yeah, you're right.
To be fair to will.i.am, for those enthusiasts of his who are listening, that he actually, in the interview, comes over as a much nicer bloke than one might imagine from the
He seems lovely.
how to interview notes.
Yeah, it comes across.
Maybe
really
that's
well.
true of you, Frank.
Do you think?
Well, maybe. Do you think sometimes maybe people get scared of you, and then they realise you're very nice when they interview? Hence, do you hate women?
Well,
do you hate women?
because I'm a bit of a git. Do
Yeah.
you mean? No, I think they, if they dig a bit, they'll find I am truly a git at core.
Oh.
Someone has emailed us specifically about that interview.
Oh, yes.
033. Frank, you've mentioned that Guardian interview. Already I like it, it's a bit judgy. A few times over the years, but have never gone on to disclose what you said in reply. What was your answer when asked why you hate women? And what prompted the journo to ask this bizarre question in the first place?
Well, it's a big ad. I mean, I think what I said was something like, this is an impossible question to answer, because if I find myself saying some of my best friends are women, then I might have to take
Although
my own
that is
life.
true.
I know, but if you say stuff like that, that's like, oh, no, I've got a Mexican mate at work. It's, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you
I know.
can't really answer. I think she was, because I was seen as a laddish comedian, this was, it was a extrapolation
Yay.
of that.
Legend!
Come on,
It was all that,
legend!
yeah.
Because of all that. Yeah.
All that.
But,
Football, dirty jokes, that stuff, yeah?
I can't think of any area of society that I truly hate.
That's nice.
Maybe the serial killer.
I would say...
Even them, you know, often they've had a brutal childhood.
I'm not fond of them. I would say you're very pro-women.
Thank you so much.
But do you get asked other questions that you don't like?
Men I hate. Sorry?
You get asked other questions in interviews that you would like to put on a list and say, don't ask me this. I mean, I haven't done as many interviews as you, but I get asked, how'd you come up with your new stand-up show?
I mean, how do you come up with your material?
How'd you come up with your new stand-up show? And I always want to go...
Is that what they say?
Well, have a guess. I bet your guess is what happens. I bet you would guess, you think of funny stuff, and then you write it down, and then you go and try it in comedy clubs, and then you take it on tour. And that's pretty much what happens, isn't it? I mean, that's really...
Well, I always say that it comes to me in a blinding vision.
That's great.
Usually when I'm on horseback. There's a blinding light. I find myself on the back with 40 minutes of stand-up just there.
Wow. 2
Right.
horse rides
That's
and you're
true.
ready. 2 horse rides
Frank.
and you've done the interval.
Yes.
Are we talking about quicksand?
No?
No.
It's
You see, does someone think this is Danny Wallace's show?
Danny Baker, I think.
Oh, is it?
Saturday morning, innit?
How
Probably
awkward. Someone's texted
the wrong
us.
show.
Yeah.
So they've texted us by mistake. Hi, Danny, re-quicksand, etc., etc. It's not Danny.
Well, let's hear
it's
it.
Frank.
Let's hear it. It might
But
be
we're not
juicy.
even discussing it.
Oh, but we
Do you
can
still want to
discuss
hear
it.
Hi, Danny, re-quicksand. It's closer than you think.
There's lots of it
That's
in
it.
Swansea Bay.
There's lots of it in Swansea Bay. Sorry, Al.
Oh, yeah. People disappear.
Do they?
Yeah, that's from Andrew. Thanks for the sentiment. Wrong show, but lovely sentiment.
And here was I thinking that Mrs. Sargent and Peter Ebdon was fairly pedestrian material. They got quicksand on Danny Baker's show. we do a sort of verbal quicksand is our speciality. Anyway, he comes over as no ego, they said. I can't believe that.
No.
Well, I am.
Yeah, not no ego. will.i.am. That's what he said when they walked in. That's it, I've got it out of my system.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
354 has got in on a joke, I think, unless it's a weird coincidence and another mistake. But we've just had a text in saying, hey, Danny, now you've got Frank Skinner talking about quicksand. That's good, isn't it? I mean, they've got in on it.
Yeah, but he might have sent it to Danny as well.
Maybe.
Danny's now stopped talking about Peter Ebdon.
I mean, in a way, it would be good to send it to Danny, because once you've typed it, you can just copy it all, can't you? And just, paste it into another text box.
I don't do any of that.
You don't do that?
I have a personal assistant.
Wow.
Oh,
It's good we're all different, isn't it?
It is.
Anyway.
Man of the people.
Have you guys watched Neighbours in the last, say, 20 years? Have you still been going with
I
it?
had a slight celebrity crush on Elle.
Yeah.
Neighbours. I used to watch it then, and I think that's in the last 20 years.
That's
probably.
going back a bit, though, isn't it?
Well,
Apparently.
And was that
back.
90s, yeah.
She was the daughter of the bad guy. What's the bad guy called?
Paul
Robinson.
Yeah.
who I think might not be bad anymore. That's what I got
Stefan
from this.
Dennis.
Yeah, what it was is
He loved a blouson leather jacket.
He did back in the day.
I really liked Nicole Kidman, and then this woman just looked like a younger version of Nicole Kidman.
Ah, right, yeah.
So
yeah.
it was like a sort of when you get the upgrade on your iPhone. You know your update thing.
Yeah,
That's a nice thing to say.
it is nice. Well, anyway, it's in the news because they've blown up Lassiter's, the famous.
They've done what?
They've blown up Lassiter's Hotel in a. I'm going to call it a desperate bid for viewers to return.
I don't think you should call it that.
No, but apparently,
What can we blow up?
Apparently it's quite an open, desperate bid, because they did it before and it put like 100,000 viewers a night on, and now
Yes.
they've
They blew up
gone...
It's been
Lassiter's
going for
before.
20 years now, Lassiter's.
Oh, God, your throat's knocking around, Frank.
know.
Emily's getting it.
No.
I caught it.
Get her on the peppermint.
It was bought by the Daniels Corporation.
Was it?
Yeah, you know Helen Daniels.
I remember
Yeah,
Helen
I remember
Daniels.
Helen
I can still-
Daniels.
if I close my eyes, I can still see her throat.
Do you remember she set up a chauffeur service called Home James? She'd pick up the phone and
She
go, hello,
did.
Home James.
She did. She had a very sinuous throat, though.
She did.
Structured. It was like a William Blake
Yeah.
painting.
I think there was a painting of her in the background of one of the living
By
rooms.
William
or
Blake?
so- No,
What
I
I
don't think by
love
William Blake.
about the Daniels Corporation
Hmm.
was that they used to talk about offices in New York, and
Did
they'd say,
they?
Paul Robinson's going over to New York. You never saw him going to New York, funnily enough. He'd just disappear and be there for a few weeks.
Yeah, it's
high-flying businessman.
It's unlikely that the business card would say Erinsborough, New York. You know, when you occasionally see shoddy businesses that you think, I'm not sure you've really got Luton, New York, Paris and Milan. Come on.
I'm sad about Lassiter's, Al. I loved Lassiter's.
Was it? It was Erinsborough was a...
It's a sort of anagram, isn't it? But it's not.
Of neighbours.
Yeah. Isn't it an anagram?
Not palindrome. No, it's... Yeah.
We were talking about... I can't remember what it was that it was called. It's like a nearly anagram, isn't it? It's,
I thought it was an anagram, because we spell it with a U, neighbours, but they don't. They spell it with a...
Oh, right.
I think it does work.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sometimes people would get a lifetime ban from Lassiter's. That was the worst punishment. They go, you're banned for life from Lassiter's.
Yeah.
It's been blown up before, but it's back.
I believe so, yeah.
So they'll just rebuild it again, presumably.
Yeah, I think they've probably got set builders on it. You know, I don't know if they're actually blowing it up or if it's a special effect.
I'll tell you what never came back. The Dagmar.
I love the Dagmar.
The Dagmar was burnt down. Do you remember?
What was the Dagmar?
The Dagmar was a club in East End that's owned by Wilmot Brown.
Ah, yes, I do remember
He
that
was
now.
meant to
Wilmot Brown, texture like...
He was meant to represent yuppie culture moving into the East End. And so he therefore had the wine bar with a pink neon sign. It said Dagmar. A lot of cane and plastic plants, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, he certainly raised some cane. It was... I had a friend, and we... I think we must have... Every email we sent for the first 2 or 3 weeks I knew them had a Dagmar reference. It was quite a big thing in our lives.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've heard from 354 again, who you may remember I said had texted a little joke, hey Danny, now you've got Frank Skinner talking about quicksand, you know, when I said,
That's good.
I didn't think it was a coincidence. He said, if I know Frank is talking quicksand, I must be a Frank listener, ... a little applied logic, guys. And then he's done a wink, you know, like...
A wink.
You know, when people text a wink.
An emoji.
Has he done an emoji?
I think it's a semicolon and a bracket, but it's the same difference, isn't it? It was the precursor to the emoji. There's no cursor.
Can I just say as well, we were referring to fireman earlier, and we have been corrected, which I think is fair enough. It's firefighter. That's from 583.
Because this lady won.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
We stand corrected.
We do stand corrected.
Meanwhile... Over at Lassiter's.
Can I just go back to will.i.am? I just had a flashback. Do you know an American comic, Al? You may know him, but it's called Billiam. He was called Billiam Cornell or something like that.
No.
It's the only Billiam I've ever come across. And someone told me it was his proper name, it wasn't a stage name.
Billiam?
Billiam, yeah. It's great, isn't it?
It's
That's
good.
A great name.
Never heard that before. Is he funny, though?
Oh, no. No, I don't remember, to be fair. I don't want to knock the bloke. He might still be working.
Well, not after this.
You're sort of... If you don't want
I
to
know
be
all who will know. Old Ma Sargent. She's always trawling the internet for spare gags from Billiam.
She told me her name was will.i.am.
She said, I'm having that when she met will.i.am.
So yes, yes. I'll tell you what. If any of our readers have favourite sort of places from TV
Fictional
shows,
places, I love that. They had a place called in Dallas. Now I don't know if you're a Dallas fan. They had the Cattleman's Club.
Oh, I don't remember that. No.
Well, I'm sure you can imagine what it was like. And they had the Oil Barons Club, and it was which you preferred. Oil Barons Club and Cattleman's Club was where Punk, I believe, used to hang out, and then Oil Barons was more JR. And he'd always go in, and you know what he'd order? A steak and a bourbon.
Of course.
Why not? That's all I eat and drink.
What about the Winchester Club in Minder?
Oh,
yeah. Dave, now about this string spill, Arthur.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sure.
My favourite, Frank, was I used to, when I grew up in Australia, yes, I grew up in Australia, and there was a soap called The Young Doctors, which you may have seen over here.
I do remember that, yeah.
Do you remember Young
Doctors?
Doctors?
Well, then you might be familiar with Bunny's, the hospital nightclub where people chain smoked.
I don't remember that, I must say. But I like the sound. I like the Kotovitz gym.
Doctors would go, I've got to go, I've got an operation, and they'd be drunk. I loved it.
I love it when life imitates art. What about the Ponderosa? That was the ranch in Bonanza. And my dad built me a cabin at the top of the garden out of...
that was the outside toilet, wasn't it?
Out of council fence palings. And he put a sign on it that said the Ponderosa. I was very, very happy with that. And of course the dad, they were called the Cartwright family who lived there, and the dad had perhaps the best actor name. He's called Lorne Green. Which I always liked very much.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
And we've had some information in that you may be interested in, Frank.
I'm interested in all information.
Oh, yeah. Lauren Green was the captain in
Lorne.
Lorne. Oh, it's a typo.
Oh, it's all gone a bit
That's
Descartes.
the whole point, isn't it?
No, but it's autocorrect, isn't it? They've obviously tried to write
in
Lorne.
Battlestar Galactica. Yes, I remember that.
Well, there you go.
He was quite a big star.
Yeah, it's good.
They had a son, Dan Blocker played a character called Hoss Cartwright, and they called him Hoss because he was such a big bloke.
Oh, yeah.
It's a sort of slang term, for a horse. Hoss Cartwright.
Hoss, yeah.
But his dad obviously drew the line at his son being called Hoss, thought it was a bit disrespectful. So he made the point of calling him Horse. As if that was okay.
That's good.
What about, there was a strange place in Home and Away. What was it called? Bayside or something? Summer Bay? I can't remember.
Summer Bay.
Oh, that was it.
Or was it Somers Bay?
Oh, yeah.
Was it Anne Somers Bay?
No, I don't think it was Anne Somers Bay. That would have been...
That was Home and Away Nights.
Oh, yes.
Had to be post-water show.
I believe Alf had a sandwich shop with a strange beauty parlour attached, run by the woman who went out with Matt Letizia.
Did she?
Marilyn.
I know it sounds like a dream, but it
Marilyn.
happened.
It does sound like a dream. You know where I always wanted to...
mongrel.
Like mongrel.
Where I always wanted to go. You know the film Big? You know Tom Hanks in Big?
We were talking about that just the other week.
You know the bit where he's an adult, but
he's seen Big.
You haven't seen Big?
Well, I've had this conversation. You must have been away. I haven't seen Big.
When he's a teenage boy who's obviously got money, he basically decorates his own flat. And it's so designed, like he's got a basketball indoors. Like, it blew my mind as a teenager. I remember thinking, wow, that's what you want. He had a pinball machine.
I found the decor a bit nouveau riche.
I loved it.
I haven't seen it.
Well, I think there's no doubt about any of our opinions on Big there.
Yeah. I should have seen it. I mean, it's notorious. Oh, no, sorry, it's not that.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alun Cochrane. If you'd like to text us, many have, often fruitfully. We're on 8, 12, 15. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, which is, I suppose, a more avant-garde approach, that's at Frank on the Radio.
Not really.
If you want to email the show via the Absolute Radio website, do that. More trad.
Radical. Where do you stand on Snapchat, Frank?
Well, having called it backpack during a live show last week, I've sort of made a slight fool of myself with the whole process. But I can see how it would work.
Yabble?
I wondered it... Pardon?
Yabble?
I think it said Javol. British.
That's...
We actually had an email.
Can I say, by the way, on the subject of Yarval, you know, I used
Which we weren't, can I just say?
You know, I used to be seen as a sort of a blue comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In my day.
Oh,
yeah.
I hated those years.
And the fact
I loved them. But
the fact
I know you did.
that the BBC now will have me like a live thing, shows how times have changed. Like, you know, on the One Show. But what about this? I was on the One Show with Hans Zimmer, who's he's an incredibly nice bloke. Who's a sort of writes basically music for every film ever.
Film composer, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's done everything. And anyway, one of the things that they were talking about was when I was a kid, the first time I remember really making people laugh was drawing moustaches and stuff on things in the paper. So they gave me a picture of each of them to draw a moustache on, live on air. Now, to hand me a picture of a German bloke and say, draw a moustache on, shows how the level of trust in me has gone up with the media.
Our readers have been texting in about fictional places, TV shows.
They really have.
I always fancied a couple of pints in the Waterhole with Madge.
I don't remember the waterhole.
And so is this Madge in Neighbours?
Madge was... Yeah, she was Harold's wife.
Oh, that's from Chris Britton, yeah.
I don't remember a waterhole.
Oh, I remember the water. Was it the watering hole?
Oh, maybe it was.
Oh, no, there's a controversy.
Well, there's also someone who's delighted.
Late controversy.
Someone's delighted that Emily has mentioned the Young Doctors and has emailed the Young Doctors. Hi, Emily, I'm a long-time...
That was the music.
Sort of. Hi, Emily, I'm a long-time reader, but this is the first time I've joined in because I'm so glad someone else remembers the Young Doctors. Whenever the hospital staff went out, it was always to bunnies.
Yes.
And the only other people in there were hospital staff. There was one scene when one of the doctors took a girl on a date there. When she commented on how great it was, he said, yes, it's nice to get away from the usual crowd.
Oh, I love bunnies.
Talking about, I can't believe anyone remembers. It was only about 10 years ago, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't, love. It was about 30.
I know.
Anyway.
I remember Mark Saber, the one-armed detective. Anyway.
Robert Coles says, down the Turkish, # the Sweeney.
I don't remember. That sounds brilliant. I love the idea of going down the Turkish.
Yeah, I do as well.
But what did that mean? Was it?
I don't know.
Did they bathe?
No, I think it was...
it must have been a Turkish takeaway joint.
It's probably a pub, wasn't it?
I once went in one of those Turkish baths. You know when you shut the doors and you have a towel round the head hole?
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt... my first thought was I felt like an East End mobster doing an impromptu interview with one of my team. They always... It was in one of those things.
Oh, and Lindsay has texted and said Joy's Bar and El Dorado always looked like a cracking night out.
Wow, well, that's a good reference.
El Dorado.
What about in Coronation Street? They always used to talk about incidents that had happened in Rosamond Street.
Did they?
I don't know if it ever appeared on camera, but it was just like another street where things could happen that you didn't have to...
There probably wasn't the budget for the kind of effects that they would need if they went to Rosamond Street.
Of course, that was a time when foreign travel was for very few as well, so going to another street felt like quite an experience. Now, of course, they're off to the Costa del Sol and it's all different.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
033 has texted, I'd always fancied drinking in Cheers, then 3 years ago I went to Boston and loved it, # late review.
Oh yeah, well I went to that the
bar?
Cheers bar, yeah. When you get inside though, it doesn't really look like Cheers. It's like the outside.
I'll be honest, I always think that the bar in Cheers doesn't look that comfy. It's high stools and wooden chairs. And the bit that I always wanted to spend time in was Ted Danson's office, which had a nice big comfy chair and like stuff to play with. Like he had a baseball mitt and a ball and stuff like that. I'd much rather be back there.
I went on a celebrity parade through Inverness with Ted Danson.
Sorry.
One of your
just need another couple of minutes to laugh at that. Celebrity.
Well, we turned up in Inverness for the premiere of Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Do you remember Loch Ness?
Yeah. No, but thanks for the tip.
It was him and Jodie...
Kidd?
The one from... she's a Vanessa Redgrave person.
Oh, yeah.
Richardson, is it? Jodie Richardson.
Yeah, Jodie Richardson, yeah.
And Ted Danson, when we got there, we were introduced to the mayor of Inverness, and he said the celebrity parade will begin. And we went, what? So we were literally marched through. There was people lining the streets applauding and cheering. There was Ted Danson and Jolie at the front. There was me, David Baddiel. Annika Rice was there.
What was Dave Deal wearing for a celebrity parade? That's Ted Camera suede jacket.
We weren't dressed up because no one had told us about the celebrity. Nicky Clark and his wife was in it.
So your hair looked fine for everyone.
Yeah, Koo Stark was there.
Can I be honest? If I'd positioned myself for the celebrity parade and Ted Danson was in there on the top of that bus, and
It wasn't a bus, we were walking. Yeah, we just walked through the town.
You didn't even get
It was like the plague years.
It's like Joan of Arc.
I know, we would walk through the town, and to be honest, if you did it in London, can you imagine the abuse and that you'd get?
Yeah.
And, in fact, we got, like, warm applause, and they seemed genuinely happy to see us in Inverness.
But you walked.
We had to walk through.
Yeah, but can you imagine
like...
if they're trying to get an autograph and you were going Ted, and then you got Nicky Clark's wife? I mean, no offence.
Well, I
but
remember
on the celebrity scale.
a guy climbed halfway up a lamppost, a guy with a shaven head, and he went, "Hey, Nicky, can you do anything with this?" And he got quite a big laugh. And afterwards we were back, and I think, to be fair, I don't wish to air people's dirty linen in public, but I think Nicky and his wife were going through a difficult patch.
Oh.
And someone said, "Oh, that was really funny, Nicky, when that guy shouted, can you do anything with this?" And he went, "Ah, yes." And she said, "Yeah, and what did you say?" "Nothing." It's a really awkward moment.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Listener 333 who said, "Hi Frank and the other two." Oh dear.
Okay.
I think you'll find it's usually ex-cast members of Coronation Street that go to the Costa del Sol. And even then it's only after they failed to agree figures with HMRC.
I find ex-members of the Coronation Street often go to Hollywood and have had some successful meetings.
Oh, yeah.
They always say, and then you never hear from them again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Remember, was there a bar in Crossroads? Well, there was the Crossroads Motel Bar, because I love Crossroads, Frank. Were you a fan of that?
So I'll say.
Oh, Noel Gordon.
I mean, you know, because it was a sort of set in the Midlands and had Midlands accents, we absolutely...
yes.
Best description I ever read of Crossroads was someone said it was like pornography without the sex. And it was, it really was.
Adam Chance, Charles
I'm guessing,
up.
obviously.
David Baddiel has texted me.
Good Lord.
About the parade?
Yes, about the celebrity parade.
I thought I owed him rent in the 90s.
Back rent. Inverness Parade, he says, "I remember it as like a 90s celebrity version of the running of the bulls in Pamplona."
Yes.
P.S. We stayed at Skibo Castle with Coo Stark. Oh, that's where Madonna got married.
That's right. Yes, I remember Coo Stark sat at a beautiful dressing table the next day. The sun streamed in through the window, and I brushed her hair with an ornamental Victorian hairbrush. And do you know, 3 months later she was pregnant.
Amazing.
I don't know what Nicky Clark would have said about that.
You do the math.
I'm still genuinely perplexed by the fact that you were pedestrians on the parade. I mean, like...
Seems so cruel.
When
Couldn't they stretch to an Uber?
When people saw Ted Danson and you lot walking past, they must have gone, "Is the minibus broken down? What's going on?"
But then it wasn't...
How did they keep the people away from you? I mean... no, but did they have barriers set up? And how long was the parade? I can't imagine it.
I think they might have had those temporary fencing things.
I think,
excellent.
David, if you're listening, you're going to have to give us some more information about the whole setup.
I think so. The guy who called out, as I say, to Nicky Clark was literally up a lamppost calling out. And there was a lot of... There was a really good turnout.
People were hanging off lampposts. You know, like a royal wedding.
I mean, this was like it was a Saturday lunchtime. It
wasn't even an evening parade. Lunchtime, 11 o'clock.
I thought we'd walk through unnoticed, you know, and it'd be... but
Ted Danson.
They'd come out for Ted Danson, certainly.
Oh, yeah. Well, he would have been a big star.
How long was the celebrity parade?
How long? What?
In length.
How long a walk?
Was it a mile? Was it 20 metres? Was it... would you say?
It felt like about 4.5 hours. I'm guessing it was about 20 minutes, something like that.
Really?
I mean, I don't know how big Inverness is, really. But it was to say, they seemed genuinely thrilled to see us. Here, you just, you know, certainly in London, people would just throw dog excrement. Let's face it. So, yes.
Well, I'm really glad that you got to experience that celebrity parade.
Me too, because I was in the mood for dancing.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, it's been a while since you've used that dancing material.
Yes. I don't get much chance to use my Ted Danson material. Is he still working?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's in loads. He's in loads.
Is he really?
Yeah.
How's the hair looking these days?
I think he's a handsome man.
Oh, so do I. Just asking him after his hair.
I don't know about his hair. I think he's a handsome man, though.
Just wondered if he was wearing a hat.
And a talented actor. I think he's a good actor.
All right.
You offered a part in one of his things.
Yeah,
I think he's really good.
Are you meeting with Danson this week?
I'm a big fan of Cheers, and he does things in that are good.
I'm not saying he's not a good actor. I just asked after his hair.
It's easy to think that he's not talented because he's eye candy, guys. I think...
What's going on here?
I think he's... Just because he's drop dead gorge doesn't mean that he's not...
He's so auditioning for something.
Are you writing a show called Strictly Come Dancing? Anyway, what else?
Oh, what else? You know, I don't know how to put this. You know, there's a current craze for colouring in. Is that how you would call it? Colouring in.
A friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, bought me a colouring book not 2 or 3 months ago.
Which
Did
friend
you
was
find
it?
it patronising? Did you find it all right?
Well, I tell you what had happened.
It's an adult colouring book.
I
Yeah,
do.
but not-
not Kama Sutra.
I do a series of witty and informative interviews on iPlayer.
That's a bit arrogant, Frank. You can't say it like that.
I've
I was
seen them.
reading here from The Guardian.
I've seen them. I like them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love them.
In one of them, I think it was Greg James chose a children's show, and it said, you know, my hobbies are, and one of the kids' hobbies was colouring.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, when do you lose that as an instinct to do colouring?
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, my friend said to me, "Oh no, it's a big thing with adults." And I said, "Don't be ridiculous." And then ever since, you know, when someone says something to you that you haven't aware of, suddenly it's everywhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I walked into Waterstones recently, and there was a whole table which was just adult colouring. When I say adult colouring books, I don't
It's
mean...
not Kama Sutra.
No.
It's gone up, sales have gone up 300%, Frank.
300.
Get out of town.
Impossible.
And it's called colour therapy now.
Well, hold on a
Oh.
minute, because I'm going to play some music, but sales have gone... This is adult colouring books.
Yes.
Well, as they say in the Caribbean, Minano.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
Oh, we've had some news in from David Baddiel.
Wow, he's basically co-hosting.
Don't say that.
Well, in fairness, I had asked him to let me know, because I wanted to know a bit more about the setup of the celebrity parade on a technical level.
Did you say Inverness?
He said...
Hold it. Did you say Inverness?
No, I heard it the first time,
Inverness.
yeah.
Inverness.
Okay.
I see what he's doing.
I saw what he was doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
No fencing,
Oh, okay. I said I was unsure about the fencing.
no velvet rope.
No.
The people followed us at the back as we walked.
I love that. Now that is, you know, when you watch like a carnival or something, and it gets to the back, the last thing, and people for some reason just follow on. People in no costumes or anything just follow it.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen with military parades and all sorts.
The security, I mean, that doesn't sound like a good idea with Hollywood stars
I know. Can you
knocking
imagine
around.
now if you said to
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, do you mind marching through public streets, spit in your face?
David says it was about half a mile.
Okay.
Yes, I don't think that bloke was up a lamppost.
Really?
Oh, he's always got to question, you see.
See, I very much remember him up a lamppost.
He says, I think... Well, that's the George Formby in you.
Yeah.
I think he was right up close to Nicky, pointing aggressively at his own shaven head.
Oh, I don't remember aggression. I remember warmth.
Oh, that's nice.
The people of Inverness came out and there was love in the air.
Well, in fairness, their usual celebrity...
Inverness.
Inverness.
Barrow, in fairness.
Their usual celebrity is a very enigmatic lake monster, isn't it, Inverness? Or is Nessie not near?
No, it's very near to Inverness, yeah.
So they're probably thinking, well, some celebs are coming and we're going to be actually able to see them.
Well, there was some clues in this, because we were there for the premiere of Loch Ness.
Of course you were.
Do you think we just went there because we couldn't get a cinema near London?
I'll tell you what, I feel a fool now. I do. I feel a real fool.
Oh, I said worse.
Hey, we've had a text, Frank and cohorts.
Enjoying the hay.
Thank you. Speaking
That's a text from a horse I've just had.
That's right. Frank and cohorts, speaking of Cheers, I went into a bar in Montreal called Cheers, which had a suspiciously similar layout to the eponymous TV sitcom. Upon speaking to the owner, Coach, I kid you not, I levelled the allegation of copyright infringement. With no small degree of joy, the Coach then showed me his framed legal writ where he had taken the producers to court. Long-time reader, first-time texter, Gareth.
Fantastic. What about when I went into a fish and chip shop on Langley High Street and I ordered sausage, beans and chips? It actually said sausages, beans and chips, and when it came there was only one sausage. And I said, well, you've got to give me another sausage. It says sausages. The woman got really, really off with me. And
you do surprise me.
She wouldn't give me another sausage. and I made a real fuss about it, so I stormed out. The next day I went past, and she very lamely crossed out the S on the side. She didn't even put up a new sign. I mean, it was only in felt pen. These people.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were talking about the global craze for colouring in books for adults.
I thought that was a new underworld gang, the global
craze.
That wouldn't be a bad cartoon, maybe.
What, the global craze?
So you could have like...
Sounds like it would be a bad cartoon.
No, if they were if the craze were reanimated by scientists, and then once they'd got the mould, obviously they could put them across the globe.
Oh no, they broke the mould when they made them.
Oh,
they broke the mould when they made the craze, for sure. What we haven't said is that this global craze for adult colouring books has led to a pencil shortage. There's not enough pencils. Which is great news for me, because my living room is full of them. So I think I might now technically be like a millionaire.
They're having to run extra shifts in Bavaria at the plant.
That's fantastic. They make coloured pencils in Bavaria.
Faber-Castell.
Okay.
I don't know how you pronounce it. I gave it a go.
It's a good crack.
I am into colour therapy, as they call it now.
I'd rather they just called it colouring in.
Okay. Well, I'll see you in the 70s. I love colour therapy. I do it a lot. I've got Connie, who I mentioned earlier on this show. Her and her husband Charlie have 2 small children.
Yes.
Or just children, if you like. And I go round there and I colour in their books. A lot. I did it recently. I do it so much.
Are they all right with that?
No. Covey, the oldest one, said, leave it black and white.
Right.
Leave it black and white next time.
It's like Norma Desmond all over again.
And he had a point. But I'm really into it. But I'm also into jigsaws. Do you like a jigsaw?
Jigsaws?
Well, I've done a couple with my son. I can't say I'd go and purchase one for my own usage.
No, like a 1,000-piecer. Do you do a 1,000-piecer?
I couldn't do a 1,000-piecer.
Really?
You could see me. I was running around Soho Farmhouse not long ago saying, is there anywhere I can get a jigsaw? I was like an addict.
I've always said that the ultimate example of faith and confidence is to buy a jigsaw from a charity shop. That you've really got to believe in human nature to do that.
You two remember to have children, though, so you must have Lego things and Playmobil.
My brother, Terry, he was always and still is, I spoke to him recently about it, a big enthusiast of painting by numbers.
Oh, really?
Oh, he did a Laughing Cavalier once. I'm not kidding you. It was better. It was better than Franz Howell's original.
Wowee.
No, it was meticulous. All the brocade of the outfit. He wears these special glasses with a magnifying glass attached to the top like a pilot fish and a light for doing it. Because he kidded a member of the family that he said he'd had an eye test and they told him this is what he'd got to wear. He's a prankster. He did a fabulous joke with a hole in his sock and a crab claw. Oh man, that was one of his best. But he's always been an enthusiast of the most. There's some of them, he has a single hair paintbrush and he just does one tiny dot like that.
That is...
painting by numbers.
That is amazing.
It is, I can tell you're impressed.
I am.
Tempted? Can you tell I'm not?
I'm not tempted, no, I haven't got... I'm time rich, but I'm not that time rich, I don't think.
I like time rich. Good phrase.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I play quite a lot of pick-up pairs. And
I don't know what that is.
What is that?
It's like when you
I thought that was something very different.
When you put cards down.
And if so, I play that.
Yeah.
It's a swingers thing.
Yeah. When you put cards down and you have to pick up two that match each other.
So you have to remember where it was.
Yeah, Snap, isn't it?
A bit like Snap, but
I play Slap.
I play Snap as well. And I play Top Trumps.
We play that in the S&M community.
Play Top Trumps. Play Top Trumps in the S&M community as well, but by accident.
God.
But you know, my favourite thing about all these things isn't so much the actual game.
I feel poorly.
It's not so much the actual game. I really like sitting cross-legged on the floor.
That's nice for you.
That really reminds me of, like, school assemblies and childhood.
I don't think grown men should do that.
I think you'd like a Japanese tea ceremony.
I would like that. Don't mind a cup of tea.
Well, it's not like a...
Hang on, would they put milk in it, though?
No,
I don't want any of that.
Jasmine.
Oh, I don't mind that.
What about this for a revisited child? I went on the bumping cars last week.
Wow.
Do you mean bumper?
Bumping cars.
It's not bumping. Bumper. Bumper cars.
No.
Dodgems, I think, is what we call them.
That's the American version.
It's not.
We always call them bumping cars.
Bumping cars?
Anyway, there was a bloke on and his son. I mean, I'm on with my 3.5-year-old.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit... This bloke was, he just went the opposite. He just drove full on into everybody. And the thing was...
he went top gear.
I suppose his son was about 6, but they both had spectacles on. Now, you don't expect that from people in spectacles.
No, I agree.
And some people in spectacles, rather than following the bookish route, they actually try and sort of prove that, OK, we've got spectacles on, but we're still quite... And that's clearly what he was doing. You know, like Heinrich Himmler, for example.
Very.
The war spectacles.
You can't compare that man, that dad on the bumping cars to Heinrich Himmler.
Well, it was another example of people in spectacles trying to prove how, hard they are.
How did you deal with it? Did you...
He had him arrested for war crimes.
No, she means the bloke in the bumping car.
I see.
Yeah, Himmler. I soon sorted him out. I didn't. Well, what can you do? You have to look like you're joining in with these people.
You square up to him.
Oh no.
Yeah, but then Frank would be a guy in spectacles squaring up to another guy.
I wasn't in spectacles.
That's
I
believe Tom Cruise puts it. You got to step up to the plate.
Yes. Well, this bloke looked like he'd stepped up to the plate on several occasions and cleared it.
Oh dear.
Presumably no leftovers on his plate.
So it was. Oh, did I tell you about me? About covering Buzz with stones on the beach?
You didn't, but you better hurry, because we haven't got much time
left. Did I tell you this story?
You haven't.
Go on.
I was on the beach at Brighton. I covered...
You're not going to trail another story for a whole week like you did recently, are you?
You know, I went into children late.
Oh, yeah.
I was 55 when Buzz was born, so I'm experiencing now in later life all the fun of childhood, as we're talking.
But I think that's lovely, you see.
And Buzz lay down and we covered him in stones, so we sort of, so just his head...
I don't know how I feel about that.
Just his head was sticking out. He loved it. Okay. And then he jumped up and started going, "Let's bury Daddy, let's bury Daddy." I said there'll be time enough for that. Anyway, maybe on that note...
Have a great morning, everyone. It's hot out there today, guys.
Last for life. So, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. So, get out.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.